ini di video _dimos.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for tuning in here tonight. The drivers of the OSR crew take on Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's going to be a good night of racing action here with Ohio Sim Racing. Thanks so much for being on board. Look forward to tonight's broadcast. Lane Hosler, Scott Formose on the front row, Steve Whitmore, Derek Grigsby, Aaron Jackson, your top five, Bradley, David Moore, Ryan Pelfrey, Brian Torrey, and Alan Marshall, your top 10. All the way down the front stretch here at Charlotte, they get ready to go.
Green, green, green.
And welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway, live here on Turn 1 with OSR. free and clear all the way through lap number 1. Hoser, Whitmore, Scott Formosa, your top 3 as they come screaming off of turn 4 here. Aaron Jackson's moved up to 4th. David Moore sitting 5th at the moment. Derek Gigsby, Ryan Pelfrey, Brad Lee. Lane Hoser, one of the drivers, I would argue one of the fastest drivers on track with this group, always putting on a show. Hoser has really been a dominating force here in this Xfinity series. With OSR, he's fast on ovals and can also be very quick at road courses. Right now, dominating out front. He's sitting 2/10 out front of Whitmore, who's settled into P2. Scott Formosa, P3. Aaron Jackson back sitting in P4. Derek Grigsby, your top 5. Ryan Pelfrey, David Moore, Brad Lee, Alan Marshall, Brian Torrey wrap up the remainder of your field as they work to cross here lap number 4. Track conditions here tonight a little different than I think what these drivers would have expected. Overcast outside, or overcast over the track, so no sunshine. Not only is that not a glare factor, but it's also keeping the track relatively cool. Steve Whitmore is going to take hot advantage of that. Last time by, he was the fastest driver on track and the fastest lap of the race, and ultimately tried to work on that gap of Lane Hoser out front. 2 sets of tires in the pits for these drivers tonight, so they're going to have to keep that in mind. With a smaller field, there is a likelihood that they could go green flag the whole way. We'll have to see how that shakes out when it's all said and done, but there is a strong possibility there. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to turn 1 here tonight live. Looks like we're having a bit of a bit rate issue over on YouTube tonight as well. We're going to work on fixing that, so hang tight with us. There we go. We're able to clean that up. Meanwhile, on track, Hoser remains out front of Steve Whitmore. Let's ride on board, though, with Scott Formosa, the driver of the 80 car. He's qualified P2, settled into P3 here. Let's ride on board with Formosa. Coming all the way back down this front stretch here as they come across the stripe. Formosa settling into P3. That gap out front starting to widen just a little bit for Formosa. Meanwhile, Steve Whitmore in the 70 car has been riding the tire tracks here of Lane Hoser for the last 10 laps or so. That gap not widening too much, bouncing between 2 and 3/10 between those two drivers. Whitmore looking to put a little pressure on Hoser here for an opportunity to bring home a checkered flag. Meanwhile, Ryan Pelfrey, Aaron Jackson, this battle starting to heat up back here in the middle of the pack a little bit. Jackson right in the middle of this mix. And he's going to have Grigsby start looking down the inside. We saw the 5 poke the nose out as they came out of turn number 2. They've got it all squared back up now. Again, the 5 offsetting Aaron Jackson just a little bit in the 12 car as they head down to turn 1 and 2. Looking for every bit of grip and handling they can, and wow, Grigsby got a great quarter off again, looking right there pretty strong on the bumper of Jackson. But ultimately settling into that P6 spot, Alan Marshall riding around P7, David Moore sitting into P8. This is a battle for 9th right here. Brad Lee's going to work back around Brian Torrey there. Pelfrey's having a very quiet night. He's up 4 spots on the evening, sitting in 4th there. Meanwhile, Lane Hosler out front has now started to widen that gap over Steve Whitmore. That's just about a full half second over the 70 of Whitmore. Formosa now sitting just about 1.1 seconds back off our leader at the moment. Ryan Pelfrey, Aaron Jackson, that top 5. While we've got the opportunity, let's ride on board with Aaron Jackson. He's cruising around, looking to get caught up here with Ryan Pelfrey. Tire wear starting to come into the equation as we hear Aaron Jackson. We're riding on board with the 12 car. That car started to get a little loose underneath Jackson. Meanwhile, Formosa saw Ryan Pelfrey catch up to the bumper. Now the 33, and Pelfrey has moved up to 3rd. Speaking of tire wear, let's talk about lap times really quick. Some of the fastest laps of the night. We'll look back up front here. Lane Hosler, Steve Whitmore have put down some of those laps. Whitmore His best lap of 30:15. We talked about that. That was right around the, I don't know, lap 5, lap 6 marks. Now 21 laps in here tonight. Last time by a 31:75. Pretty impressive lap time, pretty impressive fall off there. That's over a full second, almost that 1.6 or yeah, almost 1.6 seconds there in tire fall off so far tonight across a 20-lap run. And now we see Aaron Jackson. He's starting to close in on Scott Formosa in that 80 car. Derek Grigsby not too far back here. We saw Grigsby look at taking a couple shots at Aaron Jackson earlier this evening. Right to the inside now. He is right there with him, ready to go, and Jackson's going to look underneath Formosa. Side by side, they roll through 3 and 4. They're going to continue that drag race down the front stretch here. Jackson having a great tri-oval there, and he's going to squeeze by. He's going to be able to shut the door on the 80 car. Aaron Jackson now moving up to P4. Meanwhile, Grigsby now right to the bumper. Formosa, he is looking to strike while the iron is hot there. Just behind Scott Formosa, who again looks like he charged hard pretty quickly forward. He started in 5th place and drove himself pretty far forward quickly, but now feeling a little bit of that. Formosa rather started P2, but ultimately feeling a little bit of that tire wear as the race wears on here at Charlotte. Lap number 24 of 104. 80 laps remain here tonight. Again, we were talking a little while ago, 2 sets of tires in the pits for these drivers, and they already are asking for them, but this smaller field is likely to produce some green flag racing, and I would be surprised if we see a caution or 2 at all here with this group of drivers. So that's something to really think about, because now you've got to put down green flag pit stops, and you got to be a little strategic about the tire changes, right? Fuel-wise, you probably can make it to lap 40, 45 or so, but tire-wise, you've got to think this through and how it could play out, as it looks like Grigsby caught right to the bumper for Formosa here. He's going to look to the inside, down to the outside of the 5 car. He is going to look to take advantage of the RPM here off the corner. Grigsby's going to move up. Formosa's going to move up. Grigsby not able to shut the door, but the 5 right there, half a car length off the bumper. He goes high again in 3 and 4. We've seen the 5 really wrap turn 3 and 4 well. And there you have it. He is going to have a run to the inside. That is going to put him in the advantageous position there on the bottom of 1 and 2. Half a nose, now have a car length out in front, and Formosa's going to continue to battle on the outside. He's not wanting to give that spot up just yet. But Grigsby he's not able to wrap 3 and 4 as well as he has been, but he's going to be able to carry that speed. Impressive drive off of the 5 car off of turn 4 is going to net him that top 5 spot. Back out front, we've seen another pass just come to fruition. That is Ryan Pelfrey and Steve Whitmore. Pelfrey able to drive forward. He is on a run, a pretty solid run here tonight. He's up 6 spots so far. Ryan now moving into P2, and he has a little bit of work to do to get caught up to Lane Hosler. Lane Hosler 2.4 seconds out front. Pelfrey is going to have to really drive hard here to get caught up with that 61 car, but at this rate, I feel like you've got what you've got from a tire perspective, because you're not going to go up there. Oh, big wall tag for Ryan Pelfrey. He takes that car for a ride down the inside. I was just about to mention how difficult it can be. Once you're driven the tires off of it, you got to maintain, and Pelfrey was not going to be able to run down Lane Hosler on this tire run. Now Pelfrey's going to have some bigger problems, some right side damage on that 33 car. This is, I would argue this is Ryan Pelfrey, this is the style of driver he is. He is driving that car on edge every lap, regardless of the situation. We've seen that at road courses. We've seen that pretty much everywhere, where he is full tilt, pushing the car as hard as he can every lap, and ultimately making a little too much throttle there and got into the outside turn 2 wall and lost that spot and some time up to Steve Whitmore. Aaron Jackson, he's sitting back here in 4th, and he's now actually smelling maybe a little blood in the water with Pelfrey. Oh, another car making contact with the wall. Was that for Moza? I believe it was. But Jackson looking to drive forward here now that he has seen the 33 get into that wall. He's settled back in, and Jackson's got his eyes set forward on that spot. But take a look a little further back. You're not missing anything back here. David Moore, Alan Marshall, Brad Lee, Scott Formosa all settled in 6th on back. It is Elaine Hosler, so he's up front. And about 3.1 seconds on back to Steve Whitmore. Whitmore leads the charge, and this, again, just shows you the speed the 61 car has. And it has had and continues to have this season here at OSR. Lane Hosler, again, one of those drivers. He is what I would consider one of the Richard Luckies of this season. If you're any fan of the Ohio Sim Racing Group, you know the legacy that Richard Lucky leaves. Well, it's really your Lane Hosler's not a whole lot different. A little more consistency there, and he's certainly here for a good time. And right now, putting it on Charlotte. Meanwhile, Ryan Pelfrey's going to look forward. I'm very surprised to see that 33 not only run down Steve Whitmore, but then get back by him. He's going to make that move for P2 here once again. So the 33 of Ryan Pelfrey going to move back into the top 2. Remember, that 33 car about 5 laps ago found the outside wall right there. And looked like it was a pretty good smack. He sent that car sailing down the inside of the track. No out of bounds here at Charlotte, but if there were, Ryan Pelfrey would have been deep in it. But ultimately, car's apparently running okay at this point. Not a lot of tire wear as they work lap 35 here at Charlotte of 104. Speaking of lap 35, Scott Formosa is going to come down pit road for his tires and service here. First driver to do so. He's going to be joined by Alan Marshall. Those two are going to come down to the attention of their crew. Again, we were talking about the tire delta, the fall off here. For a lot of these drivers are nearing 2 seconds now. That is the good years on these Xfinity machines burn quick. These Xfinity cars just have a ton of power. It's very easy to spin the right rear up really hard, really quick. And then on top of that, you're leaning on that right front to keep the car rotating through the corner. So everybody seeking some tires here early as Formosa's wrapped up service. He's on the bank, he's on the apron trying to get back out under speed. Hosler's going to continue around. Let's take a quick moment. Right on board with Derek Grigsby in the 5 cars. He works here around Charlotte. Racing on here, lap number 39. Hoser works his way through 3 and 4. No signs of that driver coming down pit road. His lap times have really started to plateau off quite a bit. 31.9s have been his MO here for a while. That was actually the first 32.02 I've seen out of Lane Hosler. Meanwhile, out back him, Ryan Pelfrey has stabilized. That driver running at 32.03 right along with Hosler's. He's got some lap traffic around him. That's David Moore, Alan Marshall there out the windshield of the 33. Brian Torrey is going to hit pit road for his first tires, for his first time tonight. For his attention, as Hosler drives by, that is actually going to put Torrey at the risk of being more than a lap down there. Meanwhile, David Moore, Alan Marshall, and that crew trying to run down and potentially get the lap back here from Lane Hosler. Those two, again, operating on those new tires. The 82 now looks underneath David Moore. These two here, again, these are new tires. These two are racing. This is not going to be for position, but they are going to be significantly faster than our leader. Hosler's going to have to navigate this traffic, and you see it right there. That's what I mean. Moore's going to drive it in deep there to unlap himself. He's going to bring Alan Marshall along for the ride, and they're going to work themselves around Hosler here. Continue moving forward. All about that Goodyears and those lap times. And right there you're seeing a 30-40 and a 30-70 out of those two drivers. Now Brian Torrey, he has wrapped up that service. He is blending back on track, and with a lap or two, I imagine we'll see him up there running to unlap himself with Lane Hosler here in just a little bit. Again, looking at your running order here tonight, Lane Hosler, Ryan Pelfrey, Steve Whitmore, Aaron Jackson, Derek Grigsby, Brad Lee, your top six. Those are the drivers on the lead lap. As you see Torrey here, that was very quick. He caught up to Hosler and drove around him there. And I said a lap or two. I think that was a lap. Torrey now is going to settle back in. He's still another lap down, I do believe. I think he went down 2 laps there. Same with David Moore and Alan Marshall. I think those drivers all sitting more than 1 lap down here due to the sequencing and the spacing on the track. But either way, you can't one-stop this, obviously, for 100 laps in the Xfinity car. I expect we'll see Lane Hosler coming down pit road here, likely in the next 20-25 laps. Steve Whitmore has settled down a little bit here into that 3rd place spot. Talking about somebody that's kind of plateaued his lap times a good bit here. Whitmore, last time by a 32.10. I've actually seen him run that lap time. Oh, he's up high against the wall there. I don't think that was intentional, and they're going to find each other between him and Aaron Jackson. Really tight here, side by side as they work down the backstretch and off into 3. Jackson up against the door of the 70. No contact there, but man, that looked like that was a little close. Not sure what happened to Whitmore down there on the other end of the racetrack. Either way, Jackson is going to claim that spot. Aaron Jackson now to P3. As I was talking about Whitmore here, feeling the pinch on those. Oh, and here comes Formosa charging up in the middle of this. Those new tires have nowhere to go. Right up underneath Jackson. He's going to make that pass, going to drive off the corner. But as I was talking about Whitmore here, he has been a driver who's been running very consistent 32.10s, 32.8s, 08s. They're right there in those 32s. Obviously a little off the pace in the grand scheme of our leader. But Whitmore showing so far that he could stabilize the lap times. Again, as he come across the stripe there, that was a 32.40, but that was having to work through some traffic. And we also saw that 70 car slow last time by. That little hiccup down there in turn 1. Not a bad run here for Brad Lee tonight. Qualified P6 in the 83 car. Now, kind of running his own race out here with this lighter field count. He is just on cruise control, minding his P's and Q's. Right now, qualified 6th, running 6th, and just hanging out. Brad Lee has not been down pit road just yet. The only drivers I show that come down, Scott Formosa, David Moore, Brian Torrey, and Alan Marshall. So Brad's still yet to come to the attention of his crew. I suspect he could be one of the next ones. Same for the 5 car of Grigsby. Little side-by-side action here. Keep in mind, this is not for position. That is Formosa looking underneath there of Ryan Pelfrey. Formosa has those new tires. Well, they're not so new now. Formosa came down pit road lap 34, so you're already talking nearly 16 laps of tires there on those Goodyears. Meanwhile, the rest of the field has not come down just yet. Formosa gets around Pelfrey. He's going to now look out front, and he's going to have a pretty decent gap to run down our leader. What, about 2.5 seconds or so to get caught up here to the 61 Hosler, who is just kind of on cruise control so far here tonight at Charlotte for the Ohio Sim Racing Group right here on Turn 1. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I know OSR is looking to bolster these numbers, so that offseason certainly hampered the car counts just a little bit, but that's okay. If you're interested in joining up, head on over to OhioSimRacing.com for more information. Get registered to come run this really solid Xfinity series. We have seen some of the best racing throughout my many years of calling races, hundreds of races, and dozens here for Ohio Sim Racing. It has been a heck of a ride with these guys, and you certainly are not you're gonna be missing something if you don't take the opportunity to come drive with these folks. So clean, respectful, professional racing. OhioSimRacing.com for more information. Coming across the stripe here, that's lap 52 of 104, officially halfway point of tonight's race here on Turn 1. I'm Sean Fitz. Thank you so much for being here. I'm happy to have everybody on board the Turn 1 machine as we do a couple laps here at Charlotte on a Thursday night. Brad Lee, we called this just a little while ago, was going to come down pit road. Well, there it is. Lee in the 83 is the next driver to hit pit road, to the attention of his crew. Full fuel and tires for that driver. He officially got the car to halfway. I suspect that'll be a level of his strategy. So Brad Lee is going to go a lap down here as Lane Hoser drives by. Anyhow, as I was saying, happy Thursday evening, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in. And if you didn't get a chance to tune in live, that's okay. If you're watching this back, make sure you put it in the comments. Hey, Sean, we watched you tonight on Turn 1 and watched these drivers of the OSR group put on a show. Love to engage with some fans and some like-minded individuals down in the comments. Oh, Aaron Jackson, that car looked a little unsettled coming off a 4. He got it collected up. No concerns, but man, Jackson has the hammer down on that 12 machine tonight. That's Brad Lee you see right there. He is fighting to stay one lap down. He's going to, those tires, this new tire model here on iRacing drives the need to put a bunch of heat in the tires, or they don't come on immediately. You gotta warm them up and find that grip, and then it just sticks. It's a really cool feeling. And right there, Brad Lee found that they got enough temp in the tire to just drive around Lane Hosler, and that just shows you the difference in tires. And optimally, it's roughly about 2 seconds from where Brad Lee was to where he is now. He has picked that speed back up, and as you see, he is starting to pull away from Lane Hosler. Unfortunately, he is still going to have to work himself all the way back around, but Lane has yet to come down, so that is a factor. These guys will gain some more time back on the leader before it's all said and done. Scott Formosa, the first car lap down, and again looking to get that lap back, and he is closed in on Hoser. Well, that's within about, we'll call that 5 car lengths or so. These two have been running pretty tight with one another last time by. Formosa 31.99. Hosler was 32.03, so just about 3/10 faster Formosa on those newer Goodyears. And he's going to look to the inside of Hosler and get that pass complete here as they roll through 1 and 2. That should bring Formosa to the lead lap. Meanwhile, we see Ryan Pelfrey in that 33 car. He's down pit road for the first time tonight here at Charlotte. In the box, Ryan goes. 4 and fuel is, I'm sure, the call for the 33 car. Meanwhile, here comes Hosler, your leader. All down pit road for the first time tonight here on lap number 57. Just past the halfway point of tonight's 4 laps here at Charlotte. It also looks like, who was that? Is that Derek Grigsby? That is Derek Grigsby. He's going to hit pit road for tires and fuel as well. Meanwhile, that's going to give Aaron Jackson the top spot as he is cruising here at Charlotte. And I know a special Jackson. That's Miss Jackson to everyone. She is probably really excited to see Aaron lead a lap or 3 around Charlotte Motor Speedway. He's going to stay out another go here. Aaron has had a top 3, top 5 speed all night long. So I suspect that there we go. I suspect that this is a move just to capitalize on track position, likely not winning pace out of that 12 car, but lead a couple laps here at Charlotte. Why not? Is Whitmore. He's in the box. Jackson's always got that car sideways. Get it saved, Aaron. He does. That looked a little treacherous coming down off the track there. And Jackson's going to hit pit road to the attention of his crew. Steve Whitmore wrapped up his stop. Meanwhile, Formosa's going to inherit the lead here. Then it's Ryan Pelfrey and Lane Hosler. This is going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. So Ryan out front of Lane. And keep in mind, Ryan pit on lap 56. I'm actually surprised by this. Maybe a 2-tire stop out of Pelfrey. No, it certainly doesn't look like it. I don't know why or how this happened. Either way, Pelfrey was able to run that gap down now, and he is taking the lead here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, where he will take the lead once Scott Formosa cycles through. Again, Formosa came down pit road just about lap 34, so we'll call that 27 laps ago. And he's going to lead Pelfrey by 7 seconds, but then this is going to be your fight right here, and Hosler's closing in tight to the bumper. This will be an exciting race to follow. Ryan Pelfrey, Lane Hosler worked themselves around. I believe that was David Moore there. That is Moore. Moore's going to make contact with the outside turn 4 wall. Meanwhile, Formosa is cruising here in that top spot right now, but that gap is quickly whittling down. Hosler now actually underneath Ryan Pelfrey. This is for position and ultimately the lead. Oh, Pelfrey hanging out hard off of 2. Drag race down the backstretch. Hosler's going to be right in the prime spot here on quarter exit, but Pelfrey had the better entrance. Who's going to poke the battle here down the front stretch? It is going to be, it's going to be Lane Hosler. He's able to hold off Pelfrey here. Pelfrey's going to follow again half a car length right down into the tire tracks of Hosler. as they both continue to run down Scott Formosa. Again, Scott came down lap 34, so it's been a while since he has seen the attention of his crew, and he is likely going to see Formosa come down for another set of tires. I don't think you would see the rest of the field, but Scott's got to play this perfectly. Hoser's going to drive by him like he's standing still. New leader, the 61 of Lane Hosler. Helfer's going to slide in right behind him, and those two are going to be off to the races down the backstretch. Again, a 0.2 of a second lead separate Hosler over Pelfrey, as they are working here lap number 67. Meanwhile, we take a look back here just a little bit. Steve Whitmore and that 70 car, he is on cruise control. He's got to run down Formosa, who is actually turning off into turn 1 right here. Whitmore is just coming past the start-finish line, so about a 4-second gap separates him, but it is going to be shrinking very quickly. Meanwhile, Aaron Jackson is right there as well, rounding out the top 5 here tonight in Charlotte so far. Darren Grisby is 6. Brad Lee, he came down pit road, timed that stop on lap 51 almost perfectly, sitting in 7th. Riding on board here with Steve Whitmore. He settled into P3. Nice and a decent run for the 70. We've seen him bounce between that 3rd and 5th place spot, qualified P3 here. And after a good handful of laps, less than 30 to go here, it's Charlotte Whitmore is cruising around right there in that 3rd place position. Ryan Pelfrey, again, a really strong showing here out of the 33. Even though he's made some contact with the wall, he's not let Lane Hoser get too far out in front of him. Remember, these two were battling it out about 15 laps ago for that top spot. Once Scott Formosa came down pit road, which you saw that live here on turn 1, Formosa coming down to the attention to his crew one more time for the nights out. Maybe trying a little off strategy, but he's going to have a long way to row here. He is sitting in 8th, and Hosler back here coming off and out of to 1 and 2. But Formosa is sitting a lap down still as we see David Moore come down pit road. He's going to have a pretty long battle here to get back into the top 5 and running out of laps to get it done. As we were talking about, though, Pelfrey has not let Steve Whitmore, he has not let Lane Hoser get too far out in front. These two battled side by side there for a lap or two, but ultimately Pelfrey settling in here. Nobody seems to have the consistent pace that 61 car has shown all night tonight here at Charlotte for the Ohio Sim Racing Xfinity Series here on turn 1. We're glad you're with us on YouTube. Looking back here, this is Aaron Jackson. He is starting to run up to the bumper here. That's Brian Torrey. That's Steve Whitmore. 2 white cars there. Jackson closing in there on Whitmore. The difference in tires here for these drivers, all but 1 lap. So pretty equal driving conditions, all things considered. Jackson, for the number of years I've known Aaron, has shown some really big flashes of speed in a lot of places. He finds tracks he really enjoys. And it's looking like Charlotte is going to turn into one of those as he is working his way forward to another top 3 here, if he can get by the 70 of Whitmore. 21 laps to go. We're going to step aside, but you're not going to miss anything. We continue live here on turn 1. Stay tuned. coming back live here as Lane Holzer continues to lead. It has been the Holzer show. He's led all but just a handful of laps through the pit sequence. And he is out front 1.6 over Ryan Pelfrey as he comes across the stripe. He's going to see the 10 to go sign from the flagman. Here tonight at Charlotte, we saw as we were about to come back there that the 33 had another run in with the apron of the exit of turn 2 here. That car slipping out from under the 33, making that contact there the outside of turn 2. Another plume of smoke rolling out of the 33 car. Meanwhile, this battle back here for third, Aaron Jackson and Steve Whitmore. They've been side by side this entire last 10 laps or so. They've been battling for this spot. Jackson squeezed by, then Whitmore Jackson squeezed by. Now Whitmore has gotten back by again. Now Steve Whitmore out into that P3 spot. Jackson's going to have to run it back down, and he's going to be losing laps to do it. Remember that last pass, it took 10 laps to get it done? Well, Jackson, he's only got 9. So, Aaron, you're going to have to put the foot down just a little bit harder in that 12 car. Wrapping up the top 5 here, that's Derek Grigsby. He's sitting in 5th. A decent run here for Derek. Qualified 4th, currently running 5th, just cruising in that 5 machine. Really good to see Derek Grigsby have a decent run here tonight at Charlotte. Brad Lee, another driver that I would say I'm pretty impressed with. Lee putting together a strong showing here. No frills, just consistency. Hoser's closing in on the bumper there, but all he's got to do is just maintain. Lee is he qualified 6th. He's running 6th. This would be a really good finish for him if he could just maintain his spot there. The only driver that he likely needs to worry about is Scott Formosa. And Formosa just now is crossing the start-finish line. Meanwhile, Lee is halfway down the backstretch. So short of having a really big go of it here, Brad Lee is looking at a pretty solid top 6 spot here tonight at Charlotte. Meanwhile, Hoser just behind him. Again, a dominating force here in the 61, showing a ton of speed, a ton of pace all night long. He's going to cross the stripe and see 6 laps to go here at Charlotte. Ryan Pelfrey, that gap now is really starting to fall. Pelfrey starting to feel those aged tires on that number 33 Marlboro car. And right now sitting just about 2.9 seconds on back. Again, those tire deltas are starting to really pick up for these drivers. Nearly a full 2 seconds off the pace as they were when they were brand new. Just, about 50 laps to go. Cross the stripe, 5 to go for Hoser. 5 more times, 20 more corners to get it done here at Charlotte. Meanwhile, speaking of, this is going to be the battle that we keep an eye on. That's Whitmore and Aaron Jackson. Whitmore out front of Aaron 0.3 of a second. These two have traded that spot twice here in the last 20 to 25 laps. Can they do it again? Jackson looks like he is settled in, maybe cooling down the tires on that 12 car just a little bit, make one more run at it. Aaron, again, as I mentioned, finds tracks he's really good at, and this high-banked, high-speed track is probably, I wouldn't say the first track in Aaron's wheelhouse, but he's starting to close that gap up ever so slightly there to Whitmore, but likely going to run out of time unless he steps it up aggressively. Back here, this is Scott Formosa, and he is on the run, but there is nowhere for him to go. Grigsby there behind him, that's not for position. And the position it would be for Brad Lee there if Formosa was to try to run anybody down, but that is not going to happen here unless we see a drastic slip up out of Brad Lee. Hoser takes it down into 3 and 4. Off to the tri-oval here, 2 to go. Back to this battle here. This is for a top 3 spot. Whitmore's going to cruise by. He's going to pick that spot up, or he's going to continue with that spot, rather. Jackson is going to be looking to pick it up, and he's going to be short. Still about, that gap's actually grown to about 4/10 now between these two drivers. Jackson is falling, or losing the time, or he's running out of time to get that pass done, and it ultimately looks like maybe that 12 car may have burnt up the right front on that car a little bit. It looks like he is a little more snug than the driver in front of him. Meanwhile, out front, Lane Osler has the lead down into one. Free and clear and clean all the way through 1 and 2. Ryan Pelfrey is sitting 4.3 seconds back, so no factor there. He came to Charlotte, led all but a handful of laps. The king of consistency, the 61 of Lane Osler, is going to win here tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ryan Pelfrey is going to cross the stripe. That's a solid P2 for the 33 car. Steve Whitmore is going to round out your top 3. Aaron Jackson, 4th. Derek Grigsby, 5th. Brad Lee is going to bring home that 6th place spot. Scott Formosa is going to bring home 7th. Brian Torrey, Alan Marshall, and David Moore are going to round out your 10-car field. Hoser's going to drive it all the way back around here. I imagine we'll see Hoser do a little bit of a burnout. Sorry about that. I imagine he's going to do a little bit of a burnout, but that's okay. He's going to burn down that 61, and we're going to say goodnight. I appreciate everybody for tuning in to Turn 1. It has been a great night of OSR racing action. Our next race will be Sunday evening, and the Sunday Night Surge returns to Turn 1 for more racing action. On the behalf of the league admins, I'm Sean Fitz. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time for more racing action. Good night, everybody.